I'm Reece Parkinson, coming to you from Fulham's training ground for World Mobile. World Mobile is combining balloons, blockchain and hybrid connectivity to build an unstoppable mobile network run by the people, for the people, in the places that need it most. Why? Because we're stronger connected. Dan James, my guy. We're here with World Mobile and we really want to get into kind of the people in your life that are your connections and have helped you kind of get a stronger connection, whether times in your career haven't been kind of as great as they are, you've gone through those down periods. So let's go back to the start with yourself and that academy level. You know, you hear so many stories, whether you didn't sign a pro contract or didn't have a good game on the weekend and felt like you weren't going to get signed. Did you have any of those, or was the academy kind of a bit more of a easier?
Yeah, I started off at Hull and I signed my scholarship at Swansea, and you know, when I kind of seen the facilities there and obviously I had the Wales connection, that was something that I really wanted to do. And then, you know, being a scholar, I think everything the scholar, you know, always went well for me. When I, you know, became a pro, that first year pro, I think it was that season or maybe the season after where I went on to Shrewsbury on loan, and you know, people expected a lot. I went, you know, very early in the window, at the start of, you know, I think it was the start of June, so I did all pre-season with them. End of June. So I did all pre-season with them, and you know, at the start of the season I wasn't in the squad. You know, I was really surprised. The manager obviously rang me early, you know, at the end of, you know, the tail end of the season, of the previous season, to get me. So, you know, he was desperate to get me for that season, and you know, I didn't play for the first three. I was in the stand watching, and you know, my agent rang me right at the end of the window. I went away to Portugal with, I think the 21s Wales at the time, and he rang me saying they're trying to get another winger in, so like, do you want to leave? And you know, for me, I came at the start of the window and I was there, I would have been there till January. You know, he got me out the last day, and I always look back to that, and it was, you know, it was big for me, because if I had stayed there to January, it would have been, you know, really hard to, you know, motivate myself every day, knowing that, you know, I was pushing, and you know, obviously the manager didn't see much in me at the time, and you know, it was a tough moment, because gone a month and I'd been there a month and a half, and you know, I had to come back into the Swansea environment of, you know, people asking, oh, what happened, and this, and you know, it was tough to take. And I ended up being injured that season. I had a sportsman's growing up in the January, so the only thing I remember from that season, I think I played a couple with the 23s, and you know, I was actually fortunate enough to make my debut for the first team, and made my debut, scored against Notts County, and you know, that's the only thing I remember good from that season. And you know, I did start to doubt myself of, you know, whether I can play at this level. Obviously, the Swansea are on the Premier League at that time, and at the end of that season, we went to the Championship, and you know, Graham Potter came in and gave me my opportunity. And even at the start of that season, I went on pre-season. I still didn't think I was good enough for that level at all. And you know, he believed in me. I said, "Oh, can I go on loan?" And now he said, "No, you've got great attributes. I want to keep you." And I think it was first 3 games I still, you know, wasn't involved, and I made my debut against Birmingham away, and pitch was long and it was dry, and I think it was one of them scenes where, you know, the ball goes up, it's a header, there's a big tackle, and I came off thinking, you know, people are going to think that I'm not physical enough, and you know, I'm too small to play this game. And you know, I come from there, and I got my starting debut the week after against Ipswich at home, and you know, and basically everything went from there then.
Yeah.
And that's obviously thankful for the manager believing me. It just changes your thoughts quickly.
I didn't know that the Shrewsbury story. That's so he wanted you at the start. You go there and you're like, oh sweet, I'm here for a year, and then yeah, you've got to go back to the squad, and even your ego's got to be a bit like what are they going to say? What are the boys going to think? But kind of what strong connection did you have in your life that was there for you? Is it who was the person that you went to, or people to kind of help you mentally get through that time?
So I think that time, obviously, my missus was massive for me. You know, she always, you know, kept me sane, and you know, things will always be better at the end of the tunnel. And I think going through that and then coming out at the end of it with something positive, you know, that's what you always go through as a footballer. And you know, there'll always be times when you're low, but you know, you come out the other end, you'll always be better for it. And you know, that's what I always say to young players now is, you know, there's going to be a time where there's a drop off, and you know, you're starting to not believe in yourself. But I'm telling you, get through that moment. You know, you get the right people around you, and you know, you're always better for it. You learn from it.
And then, kind of like, I guess a more publicly facing kind of moment for you, I would feel like, and it'd be really interesting to hear your opinion. Was obviously in the Leeds documentary, when you go there, going to sign to Leeds, that doesn't happen. What was that like, especially having that filmed and it's a lot in your personal space put out there?
At the time, it was January, and I wasn't really too keen about leaving Swansea. I was in a good place. It was my first season. Obviously, I wasn't offered a new contract there, and I come in and to Leeds, and it was a massive opportunity, and the things they had in place, and the things I got shown, the analysis they did into me as well I was mesmerised by, and I was really excited to join them. After that, I think it obviously went to deadline day, and I couldn't quite believe it. I remember throwing my phone in the boardroom. Yeah, it was really annoying, and I always look back at that moment because I always think stuff like that, things always happen for a reason, and people ask me how I dealt with going back to Swansea, knowing that I hadn't gone through and we annoyed, but I was lucky that I became my second home in Swansea, and I was going back to a place that I was familiar with. I loved being around. My missus was there, all her family, all my good mates were there. Coming through Scholar. So I think the transition from going back was quite easy for me, to be honest. And I think from then on it was just about playing with freedom, and we'll see what happens in the summer. And obviously it was a little bit different than I thought. So
yeah. It's funny how the world works. Then United, and then Leeds. But going to United and Leeds, and then coming down south, and bringing your missus as well, and you both having to kind of relocate. I think we don't kind of think of that about footballers. It's just like, oh, how's Dan going to do on the pitch, and that's it. But it feels like you have so much more you have to think about. Is that difficult at all? Those going through that, having to come down to London and start a new life here.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I've got a little boy now, and he was supposed to start nursery just as we moved. It's hard because a lot of nurseries have the waiting list, and it's not easy just to take them from place to place. And it's the same with my missus as well. We create great friends, in Leeds, and then I've done 2 deadline days in a row. The day before, or for both times, I never thought that I would be at a different club the next day, and within 24 hours it just changes like that. And that's football for you, and people just say you just got to get on with it, and to be honest you do, because there's always obstacles in the way, but you've got to try and find a way of overcoming them and being the best you can be, because outside the pitch there's always going to be something. Me and my missus at the minute are still in the hotel. It's hard since
Joking.
No, I'm still in the hotel at the minute, so it's been tough with her being in the hotel, and obviously the baby as well.
And the little one.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and she's so supportive of me, and it's obviously I don't want them to be anywhere else but with me, but it has been hard. I think obviously things like that people don't really look into. I'm not using as any excuse at all. You've got to find ways of doing it, because ultimately I come here and I want to express myself and be the best I can be, and kind of zone out them things that are away from training. When you finish training or you finish the game, then you can think about them things, and you just kind of try and put them to the side.
Yeah, Dan, thank you, mate. Bit of Shakira on the plane as well, I bet. I mean, what a day here. It's been incredible to see the strong connection that the Fulham players have with each other, and how that's helped them overcome some of the difficult situations that they've gone through in their careers.